Welcome students. Today we'll be talking about chordata. As we all know, to understand chordates we need to have the basic knowledge of biology. The term biology is a Greek term that was coined by Treviranus and Lamarck. Biology is the branch of science that deals with the study of the various aspects of the living organisms. The different branches of biology are botany, zoology and microbiology. Zoology is the branch of science that deals with the study of animals. Botany is the branch of biology that deals with the study of plants, and the microbiology is the branch of biology that deals with the study of microorganisms. The different fields of biology are taxonomy. Taxonomy is the branch that deals with the study of identification, classification and nomenclature of the organisms. There are 1.7 million organisms identified till date. There are 15,000 species that are added to this list every year. The different aspects of taxonomy are: first, you have to identify the organism. To identify the organism, you need to have the understanding of the morphology. So what is morphology? Morphology is the branch that deals with the study of external as well as the internal features of the organisms. External features include its shape, its color, its form, etc. On the basis of its external features, say for example, let us talk about the mammals. The external features of the mammals are the hair on the body, the mammary glands, act of giving birth, that is vivipary. Though that is the physiological aspect, but if you see an organism to give birth to a young one, that means it is a mammal. The basic feature is the presence of mammary glands, that is the milk glands, the hair and the ear pinnae. The internal morphology includes two aspects, that is anatomy and histology. The anatomy, what is anatomy? Anatomy is when we study the internal morphology of an organism. Internal morphology can be studied only after dissecting an organism. But here you need to understand that we are not using any magnifying instrument. The other part is the histology, where we are studying the internal tissues of an organism. Therefore, for identifying an organism, you need to have a sound knowledge of the morphology. The second aspect is the classification. The organisms have been classified into 5 major kingdoms by Whitaker. These 5 major kingdoms are the Monera, Protista, fungi, plants and the kingdom Animalia. The chordata belong to the kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia includes the organisms that have primarily the ingestive mode of nutrition. Kingdom Animalia has been further classified into 3 sub-kingdoms, that includes Protozoa, Mesozoa and Eumetazoa. Mesozoa don't have any digestive cavity. They have cilia on their general body surface, that are the hair-like structures that aid in locomotion as well as in the ingestion of the organism. They are primarily the parasitic organisms. The second category, that is Protozoa, they have generally the canal system for the ingestive mode. They include particularly the sponges. And the third major subkingdom is that of Eumetazoa, that includes all other animals. There are 35 phyla of kingdom Animalia, of which 11 are the major phyla. Now let us talk about chordata. Chordata are the organisms that have 3 basic diagnostic features. That is, they have the dorsal hollow nerve cord, number 1. They have the second, that is the tubular notochord. The third basic feature of the chordates for their identification is the presence of pharyngeal gill slits. And the fourth, that is the optional one, that is they may have or may not have, that is the tail. Now let us talk about these 4 features in detail. Let us first start with the dorsal tubular nerve cord. This dorsal tubular nerve cord is present in the mid-dorsal region of all these organisms. And this notochord later on gives rise to the centralized nervous system. That includes the anterior brain that is present in the head region of the organism and the dorsal spinal cord later on. The second important feature, that is the notochord, that is an elastic cord present again in the mid-dorsal region of the organism. This mid-dorsal region of the organism, this has besides the nerve cord also the alimentary canal in the ventral side. That means the presence of this notochord is in between the two, that is dorsal nerve cord and the alimentary canal. In between the two, as I told you, is present the notochord. Then we have the third feature, that is the pharyngeal gill slits. Besides, beyond the mouth region is the pharynx of an organism. In this pharynx there are present generally the gill slits wherein are present the gills for the respiration of the organism. As I told you, the fourth feature, that is the tail, is an optional feature. These four features may be present throughout the life of an organism or only during the embryonic period. Then we have the other important features that we have to talk about the phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata includes 60,000 living known species. Some of them though are extinct. There are three major subphyla of the phylum Chordata, which includes Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. The first two, that is Urochordata and Cephalochordata, are we include them among protochordates. There are 25,000 species of these two subphyla. Now Urochordata are also called as tunicates because of the presence of tunicin around their body. That is the tunica, that is the outer skin that is made up of tunicine protein. They are primarily marine organisms. They have numerous gill slits on their body which may or may not have the gills. The second protochordate, that is Cephalochordata, is again a marine organism which is having a notochord right from the head region to their tail. The third major subphyla is very important, which includes fishes, which includes amphibia, reptilia, birds and mammals. There is large number of diversity in the phylum Chordata, wherein the largest living organism, that is the blue whale, is present, which is 120 tons in weight and 35 meters in length. Now let us talk about the other common characters of the phylum Chordata. Number one is the axiation. That means all organisms that belong to the phylum Chordata have got the common axis. That is, they have the anterior head and the posterior tail. Head is the region that we also call it as cephalization. That means head always precedes the locomotion. Now head has also got the integration of all the sense organs. That is, we have 5 senses. That is, we have the sense of sight, we have the sense of taste, we have the sense of smell, we have the sense of hearing. All these sense organs are integrated in the head. That is why head always precedes during the locomotion. Again, in the head region we have the most important organ of the body, that is the brain. The brain controls all the activities, that is physiological activities of the body. Second very important feature, that is the common feature of all chordates, is the bilateral symmetry. There are different symmetries in the organisms. One is the radial symmetry that is present in case of hydrants. We have pentaradial symmetry that is in the highest level of invertebrata, that is the starfishes. The bilateral symmetry is a very important aspect where the body can be divided into exact 2 lateral halves. The third important feature that is again common to all chordata is the triploblastic nature. What is triploblastic nature? That is, we have 3 germ layers: ectoderm, followed by mesoderm and the endoderm. Ectoderm, as the name says, ecto means exterior, derma means layer. So exterior layer from where our skin is derived. Say for example, and again our brain is ectodermal in origin. The second layer, that is the mesodermal, that lies between outer ectoderm and inner endoderm. From mesoderm we have connective tissue. From mesoderm mesoderm gives rise to muscles and other organs of the body. The third very important, that is the innermost, that is the endoderm, that gives rise to the viscera. Again, these 3 layers, as I told you, are present right from Platyhelmintha to all organisms up to the mammals. Fourth, that is the coelom. The coelom is the body cavity in humans. In chordata, it is schizocoelous. Schizocele. Schizocele is the variety of coelom that arises from the mesoderm, except in Protochordata, that is the Amphioxus, where it arises from the enteron, that is the gut. The fifth feature, that is metamerism. What is metamerism? Metamerism is again very important feature, that is our body is segmentally arranged. Though the external segmentation is not visible in our case, but if we see the internal features of the organism, it can be seen in the presence of the segmental arrangement of ribs, the segmental arrangement of the vertebrae, the segmental arrangement of the blood vessels, the segmental arrangement of other organs of the organism. The fourth, the last feature that is common to all chordata is the organ system level of organization. Now see, we have different systems, we have different organs, like say for example, let us talk about the digestive system. Our digestive system comprises of the mouth, which is in itself made up of different organs, where we have the tongue as an organ of gustation, where we have the pharynx as an organ for swallowing, where we have the esophagus, that is an organ that acts as a tube that takes our food right from the buccal cavity into our stomach. Stomach is another organ, intestines are another organ. So the integration of all these organs forms the organ system. Now what are the advanced features of chordates over non-chordates? Number one is the living endoskeleton. This living endoskeleton enables the chordates to increase to the maximum size. Now in non-chordata, there used to be an exoskeleton which never enabled them to increase to the maximum size. They had to shed their external skeleton, that is the exoskeleton. The process of shedding the external exoskeleton is called as molting, which is rarely seen in case of chordata. The second advanced feature of chordates is the efficient respiratory system. This efficient respiratory system enables them to live a successful life. The successful life includes, say for example, that of birds. They have got the most efficient respiratory system. The most efficient respiratory system is again seen in case of the pulmonary respiration. The lungs are seen only in case of chordata, right from the amphibians to the mammals. The gills, not so developed respiratory system, and is found in case of fishes and some amphibians, which retain the external gills. The lungs are present in the thoracic chamber of the organisms, where the respiration is the maximum. Third important feature, that is the advanced feature of chordates, is the efficient circulatory system. This efficient circulatory system includes from 2 to 4 chambered heart. The 2-chambered heart is seen in case of fishes. Progressively, this 2-chambered heart first moves to the 3-chambered heart in case of amphibia, then partially 4-chambered in case of reptiles, and completely 4-chambered in case of birds and mammals. In case of crocodiles, we have got the 4-chambered heart, though it is a reptile. It is the first organism to have the 4-chambered heart. Besides this efficient 4-chambered circulation or 2-chambered heart, we have got the what you call as closed circulatory system, where blood never gets in direct contact with the tissues, and there are present the RBCs which are having the hemoglobin present in them. Then the last is the centralized nervous system. The centralized nervous system is very important because it allows the maximum enhancement of the brain and the spinal cord, and it also allows the quick reflex action in case of chordata. Now, centralized nervous system, as I told you in the beginning only, that arises from the dorsal hollow nerve cord. This dorsal hollow nerve cord gives rise to the brain on the anterior side and the spinal cord on the posterior side. To help this centralized nervous system to do an efficient work, we have got, in addition to the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is the voluntary nervous system which helps the internal visceral organs to perform an efficient function. To help these, we have got the sense organs which are present in the peripheral nervous system. As I told you, eyes, nose, tongue, they are the external or peripheral nervous organs or sensory organs that we call them. Again, to help this centralized nervous system to do an efficient work, we have got the endocrine system, which is again under the control of those in the central nervous system, but they help them to do the best physiological functions. Now, let us talk about the ancestry of chordates. Where from these chordates have arisen? The ancestry of chordates is ambiguous, but most of the scholars of zoology and most scientists believe that the chordates have arisen from the auricularia larva of the echinoderma. Why? What are the similarities between the two, or what are the affinities between the two? Number one, auricularia larva resembles the Tornaria larva of the hemichordata in the following features. Number one is the indeterminate cleavage, which is present in both of them. Second is the oval shape of the body, which is again present in both of them. Then they have looped bands of cilia, which are present in both of them and are covering the 2/3 of their body. They have the mouth which is on their ventral side. There are similarities in the coelomic cavities of both these larvae. There are certain serological similarities also. That means when we go for the physiological tests, when we go for other muscular, when we test their muscular phosphogens, they are similar. Then there are other similarities also. Because of these similarities, we have come to the conclusion that the chordates have actually risen from some echinodermate, that is starfish-like ancestor. I hope you must have the basic understanding of chordata. Thank you.